We're talking more now about position battles. Dante Moore, we know he's going to be the quarterback. Decorian Moore, we got a pretty good feeling that he's going to be in that top wide receiver rotation. But now this is where spring practice really gets spicy. This is where spring practice really gets fun. And this is where it's really important for younger guys and guys that are looking to step up like we're looking to see in the secondary. Spring practice lays the foundation for guys maybe being the leaders in the clubhouse in a specific position battle as we head more towards fall camp. This is a complete line change in the secondary. I think in terms of specific position into a starting spot, Dylan Thieneman is really the one that I feel, all right, he's going to be at safety and he's going to start. You have someone like Theron Johnson. Hey, could he play nickel? Yeah, he could. Could he play corner? Yeah, he also could that. He was an all Big Ten corner over at Northwestern. Who is going to play beside Dylan Thieneman at the other safety? That is a big position battle that I've got my eye on here throughout spring practice. Peyton Woodyard, Trey McNutt, Kingston Lopa, Aaron Flowers. Hey, there's a lot of stars in that room. 4 stars. Trey McNutt, 5 stars. Who's going to stand out and be next to Dylan Thieneman on the back end of that defense? And then there's 3 other spots. The corner spots and the nickel spot. Take a deep breath because there's a lot of names here. I mentioned Theron Johnson certainly before. Ife Obadedegwu, Jaleel Florence, Sienna Lalea, Naeem Offer, the true freshman, Dalen Austin. We know his trial is being delayed. You've got Jaden Kennedy, who just transferred over from Ole Miss, Roderick Pleasant, Dakota Fields, and Brandon Finney and Dorian Brew, our true freshmen in there. Whew, exhale a little bit, Ted, because there's a lot there. Now, whether it's safety, whether it's nickel, whether it's corner, whether it's a high-profile recruit, whether it's a transfer, there is going to be competition. And I love that. I love all of these great players going at it. And it doesn't matter if it's a transfer. It doesn't matter if it's a true freshman high-profile recruit. It doesn't matter if it's a 4-star recruit that's been on campus for a couple of years. The competition in spring practice will breed the best players standing out and eventually that are going to win these position battles in fall camp. The competition of all this great talent is a great thing for the Oregon Ducks. In the secondary, I feel this is going to be a really good group because of the competition, because all of these talented players going at it. I have trust in this coaching staff. The best players will play, and they will be the best because of the competition that they are going up against. And then you got to go to the defensive line. When you talk about competition, this is another position group. Now, this one's a little bit different than the secondary. And I'm going to approach it a little bit different than the second, because it's a secondary, it's all about who's going to fill all these spots, right, with this complete line change in that position group that I talked about. On the defensive line, there are 2 pieces that I feel very confident about that can be all conference players certainly next season. Mateo Uwayunga-Lele was up in the top 3, I believe, of the Big Ten in sacks last season. He was a disruptor. He's going to be moving over to that Jordan Birch spot full-time. He's going to be great. He's going to be awesome. I have no doubt about that. That's not a position battle at all. The defensive tackle. You lose 2 defensive tackles. I think Amari Washington is going to take. I talked about Devin Jackson before, a guy I'm really excited about to monitor to see how big of a development he can make. I think Amari Washington, who played in all 14 games last season and was a constant part of the defensive tackle rotation, I think he's going to step up. And I think he is going to fill one of those voids on the defensive line. I'm really excited about the jump that he can certainly make, maybe towards an all-conference player, certainly this season. But then the question remains, and that leads into the battle of that other defensive tackle spot that was left behind by Derek Harmon and Jamari Caldwell. Bear Alexander, Tiani Gray, Aiden Breland, Terrence Green. all viable candidates to fill that hole. And here's something else and how I want to branch off of this as well. I've heard people on the Twitter sphere, I've seen people online that said, hey, this defensive line group, this is going to be a really good group, and it could maybe be the best position group on this Oregon Ducks football program. And I think that foundation is going to start to be laid in the spring. How competitive is this defensive line battle that's going to fill that other tackle spot? I think that's going to tell just how deep that this defensive line group certainly can be. And then you look at the edge players past Mateo and Tatum Tuioti, Elijah Rushing, and Blake Purchase. This is a group, this is a defensive line that if everything comes together and some of these guys develop that were high-profile recruits, and then you have someone that I just mentioned and a guy like Blake Purchase that finally gets his shot with Jordan Birch departing and some of these other guys stepping up and roles kind of shifting around, it gets you really excited. I mentioned the defensive tackle depth and rotation, and then I just mentioned the edge depth and rotation as well. Spring is going to go a long way to see if this defensive line group is truly going to be a very deep group and maybe, just maybe, a dominant group.